And we'll get started here in just a minute. Just looking at some weather information here first, and we'll get going. All right. Well, now that we are have a bit of a audience building here, again, I'm doing a little update, and I want to just kind of address the ongoing situation here. So, well, I don't have my camera on, so you don't see me, but you can definitely hear me. But that's you just need to be able to hear me. That's all you need to be able to do. So, all right, so let's get into it and talk about what is going on here with all this this weather going on here this afternoon here. So, if we take a look at things first, I do want to address this part of it first. There's this tornado watch in effect that goes across like the Texas Panhandle into the western parts of Northwest Texas. You know, uh, I still think that a severe thunderstorm watch, at least in our area, would cover this better. I really don't think that this needs a tornado watch, not at least here. I will say that the atmosphere just west of us out here, kind of east of Plainview and east of Lubbock and kind of south of Childress is a little more favorable for tornadoes over that way. But, in general, at least here, I really don't see a lot of that here. The low level wind shear just isn't very strong. It's very weak, and we have something that's called a hodograph, and that kind of helps us determine what the atmosphere looks like in terms of we're going to see tornadoes. Are we going to have a chance for tornadoes? What is that? How does that play into it? And the hodographs, you've got to see a big curve with it, a low level curve, and out here you kind of do see it look like this here a bit, but over here it looks more like kind of like that. There's not enough here. There's not enough curve here to really make me super concerned about tornadoes here. And we can kind of look at some of these storms out west. Now, these are some really strong thunderstorms, and they formed in an area of extreme instability. And there's a lot of storm energy out there, and you do got a good bit over us too. But again, as you get east of here, your wind shear isn't as good for tornadic activity here. I don't think anyway. But those storms are putting out some humongous hail just west of Knox City and northwest of Haskell. These are supercells, and there's enough wind shear, especially out here, to promote these supercell storm structures. But they're mostly just big hail producers, and they're not moving very fast either. And they're going to produce a lot of heavy rain. I think it was this storm here that's north of Guthrie. It had a tornado warning with it earlier, but that's now just been downgraded to just a severe thunderstorm warning. And then you go north of there, there's storms up towards Turkey, Texas, and southwest of Childress and in the Matador area. These storms are knocking on the door of Knox County. I bet we see some severe thunderstorm warnings come out for parts of Knox and of Haskell County here. And then next, you'll probably see some severe thunderstorm warnings and time come out over here into the Ford County and maybe even Hardeman County. And since these storms are moving so slowly, at least early on this evening, I don't expect anything here in the Falls, nothing in the Lawton area. It's going to take it time to get them. It's going to take time for it to get to Vernon and to Seymour. A lot of the signals for weather. Matter of fact, I'll kind of show you what's going on. Let me stop this here. We've got a frontal boundary that's kind of draped down through here this evening. And you got a little area of low pressure. Well, actually, let me redraw that. That's not quite right there. So you've got a little bit of a frontal boundary kind of draped down through here. And you've got a little area of low pressure about right there. So you've kind of got a bit of a northeasterly wind here and a bit of a southeasterly wind here. Okay. And then you got your boundary. Typically speaking, a boundary it's always something that has to be watched, because if storms get on a boundary again, it can alter and change the atmosphere. But keep in mind, your upper level wind shear, it just doesn't look good over in here, in my opinion. A little bit better up here and a little bit better over in here, but in here's a bit of a lull. So what I expect to happen with these thunderstorms here is for all these storms that you've seen, there's a bunch of them over in this area. They're going to all clump up here pretty soon. And you're going to wind up seeing a big bow echo this evening move across at least the southern part of the area, at least the part north, at least across North Texas. And you're going to see damaging winds with that bow echo line of thunderstorms. That's what our main concern will be, is damaging winds, and some of those can be pretty strong now. Now, what you also have to watch out for in these, when you get these big thunderstorms, and they have some interactions with each other, um, especially initially, you can get what's called MCVs. You can get a bit of an area. Each one of these little supercells has their own little low pressure system. It causes them to spin. And as they interact and kind of get ready to bow out, you may see a what's called an MCV that may develop in there, and that would be like an area of low pressure. It's called mesoconvective vortex, and that's going to create some really strong winds, and there could be spin ups in that. It's not that different than what happened with Seymour several weeks ago. There, I don't think it'll be that quite that strong, but these are going to put out some really strong winds. I do expect an increasing area of damaging winds here this evening across across the west here. So the area that I'm worried about the most for damaging winds, is going to be from here down to Quanah, down to Knox City, down to about there. You're going to see all this kind of bunch up. It's going to kind of look like that. All right. Now, at least initially, you got some really big hail with this stuff, and big hail is going to remain a threat over to Knox County, Haskell County. And then maybe over into Ford County, big hail is going to be an issue. But as these storms merge together, you could see some wind-driven hail over into Baylor County, maybe Throckmorton County, maybe even Wilbarger County later on this evening. But in time, as you continue to see Bow Echo become the dominating weather situation, you'll see less of the bigger hail threats and just more of just really strong wind gusts. So again, I do expect our main concern here to be strong wind gusts as a developing line of storms develops here this evening. The supercells will merge, but at least for a little while this evening, there could still be some really big hail out here in parts of Ford County, Hardeman County, and Knox County. And we'll see if that can transition over into Wilbarger, Baylor, and Throckmorton County. But again, you're going to see increasing damaging wind threats across here, maybe even a really higher threat down in here this evening. Some of that wind could gust up above 70 miles per hour. So hurricane force winds, and that could create some damage and some power outages too. Let's pull up the latest, what's called the HRRR computer model. Let me see if I can find it. Well, I had it up earlier. Give me a second. I'll find it. There it is. All right, so let's make it a little bit bigger. So there's what this says. This is suggesting at 7 o'clock, those supercells that are over there kind of all merging together. There you are in Ford and Knox County. Big hail threats with those there still. And you're about to see this thing bow out here real soon. Watch this. Boom. There you go. But embedded within this here, again, you're going to have these little areas of low pressure called MCVs. And that increases your damaging wind threats. And sometimes there can even be little with spin ups and that kind of stuff. But your main concern is damaging wind threats. And then you can see how it all just kind of continues to unfold throughout the evening. Heavy rain, hail, and again, damaging wind. There's that strong, just continuation of heavy storms through midnight. And that could lead to some flooding. And even after midnight, you see some heavy storms there too. Now that the severe threat will be much, much lower at that point in time, and combined to mostly some hail producers maybe at that point in time. And you see your damaging wind threats kind of south and east of the Metroplex. But again, this evening, we'll be watching out for these strong thunderstorms to have the potential. Again, they're going to merge up, and they're going to have a potential to produce a lot of heavy rain, strong wind gusts, hail, and maybe a spin-up tornado or two. And I mean, we're looking at probably EF0, EF1 kind of tornadoes if we do get that at all. And the best chances for that will be across our western counties. In fact, to show you how, I'm always concerned about the weather here, but I'm not overly, super concerned. So we don't have, I don't even have Cameron out in the tracker, which, it actually would be a pretty good chase day for him if you were out there. I mean, those storms are really photogenic and beautiful storms, I'm sure. So, and you can still see it, and you do see periodic little areas of rotation. And again, your shear, what's called shear, it causes this atmosphere to spin. It's a little bit better over there. I mean, you see some here and there. You don't see a lot though, but you do see at least a little bit in there. So again, an isolated tornado warning can't be ruled out this evening over in especially our western counties. But I think our biggest concern remains strong wind gusts and some hail. Big hail, especially this evening over here in the west. So let's see what we got question wise. So again, if you're asking me about your area, I mean, it's hard for me to just kind of sit there and say, hey, this is what you can expect. I'll try to tell you the best I can. The Benjamin area, some big hailstorms is possible. Heavy rain, wind gust over there. Again, Monday area, you're kind of lumped in that as well. A lot of the storminess will actually zap the atmosphere tonight. And I don't know that we'll have a lot. There'll be some tomorrow, but I don't know if we'll have a whole lot. So yeah, it feels like a sauna. I've been outside working today. I've just been absolutely just dripping wet with sweat. The shear up in Duncan's not real good. I mean, you're kind of north of the frontal boundary there. So I mean, it could be what happens is the winds are kind of changing direction with height, and it kind of creates a little bit of wind shear, but it's really weak. It's not what I call no, the tornado threat is not high, Gina. I don't really consider the type of shear, the type of now we do got the Kate value. It's really high, but the kind of shear we have in place, to me, I don't really associate it with real high and severe weather events. This is going to be like I say, wind, heavy rain, flooding because they aren't move very fast, and some hail event. I mean, it could be. I think it's going to be a lot cooler tomorrow, Stephen. Patrol, you're just kind of in that lumped into that sun with some heavy rain and gusty winds later tonight. Marcus, I mean, these storms aren't moving very fast. It's 6 o'clock now. It may be 9 o'clock before anything gets to Vernon. Yeah, you're in the severe threat area. Heavy rain, gusty winds later tonight. Well, I mean, if you look at Quanta, I mean, it's nothing too major. I mean, there's actually the worst of the weather is west and south of you there. Quanta may not get the worst of it, maybe south of you. Yeah, that's those clouds. It's what you're seeing right now. I would think in Iowa Park is probably you're just seeing some of what's called the anvil blow off from those storms out west, and you may see some clouds along the front itself because the front itself is kind of in that area. I don't think it would anything into Wichita Falls until after 9 or 10 o'clock, honestly. And down in Graham, Ellisville, I mean, the storms aren't moving very fast. Now, once they clump up and become an MCS, they'll speed up. But, Graham, Ellisville, you may not see anything until after 9, 10, 11, even 11 o'clock. So the only problem is when I make it full screen, I can't see your questions on here. I'm having to do this a weird way. And I can't see your questions whenever I make it bigger. I know it's small and it's hard to see all of that. But I'll make it big for you, and we'll just and I'll just talk. I won't be able to answer your questions, but I will make it bigger for you. So there it is, bigger, and there's your storms. Everything you see right now is severe thunderstorm warnings. Again, I'm not going to rule out an isolated tornado warning or two with these supercells as they conglomerate. Yeah, I think you're going to see severe thunderstorm warnings there north of Haskell and into the Knox City area shortly. Big hail, the primary. And folks, that is a huge supercell right there. This is an instability-driven supercell. That's got some big, big hail in it. I mean, it could be up to the size of softballs there north of Astermont. There's actually a hail-producing storm over Astermont now. These two storms are going to kind of lump together. But that's what they're all going to do. It's just so many of them out there. You're going to see these storms. You're going to see the storms, all these storms in time lumped together. Like this one, you can already see a little bit of a lump in there. This one and that one down to the south, they're all going to kind of lump together and form a bow echo. And that's going to move across the area with big, big wind, heavy rain, and some hail. But, at least early on, we'll keep an eye on these supercells as they have some interactions with each other. They may still try to produce a spin up or something. I mean, I do see rotation in these thunderstorms. They're a long way from the radar site. So what you're seeing is updraft rotation. Supercells, they spin like that. You see decent rotation with that one well west of Haskell and northeast of Astermont. That's not bad. But again, that's probably shooting pretty high up in the atmosphere there. You got a little bit of spin with that one near Guthrie. But that's really it. But those are big supercells, and they're pretty dangerous. Again, they're producing some massive hail right now. So that's what your primary concern is with those. I'm telling you, Ford, Knox, and down there into northern Haskell County, big hail is going to be a big issue there, especially with this cell here. Knox City, you could get some hail with that The biggest hail may move just south of you down here, just north of Haskell. That storm is moving it's kind of drifting east, almost east southeast. It's just kind of drifting. Like I said, the upper level winds are really weak here, so they're not really moving that fast. There's some storms up here around Oklahoma City. They're just heavy rain and some hail producers. These are actually north of the front here, I think. But a lot of heavy rain up there. Going to be some flooding, and we'll see flooding. We're going to see flooding threats down our way too here tonight. So, all right. Well, that is all I have for right now. Again, the areas we're watching for right now, your severe threat area, kind of Knox City, Haskell, kind of up here, maybe into southern Hardeman County, but it may stay just south of Quanah. Again, these storms are not moving very quickly. And then maybe after 8 o'clock, you might see severe threat kind of increase over in here. We may see also some storms develop up this way too. And then perhaps maybe after 9 or 10, you might see some of these storms try to make its way over here, with your main threat again being strong gusty winds, some hail, along with very heavy rainfall and flooding. Tornado threat is not super high. It's not our main threat here. It's not at 0, but it's not super, super high. So, all right. Well, I will keep an eye on things here. I'm about to go eat a bite, and then I'm probably going to make my way to the station after that, I would imagine. So, anyway, all right. I will have an update for you guys shortly. I'm gonna get a quick bite to eat, and then I'll keep an eye on things, and I'll give you an update whenever I need.